What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today I will be running some benchmarks and playing 12 different games on the Samsung Tab S10 Ultra. So first, let's run Geekbench 6. This right here is the CPU test and I will be back once the scores come in. It got a single core score of 2,199 and a multi-core score of 7,296. Comparing it to other Samsung devices, it performed slightly better than the S24 Ultra. For the GPU test, it got a score of 12,117 and it looks like it underperformed compared to the S24 Ultra and even the S24 Plus. In terms of specs, this is the 256GB model, which comes with 12 gigs of RAM. Now, let's run some 3D Mark tests. First up is the wildlife graphics test. This is a 1-minute test that measures the device's ability to provide high levels of performance for a short period of time. It mirrors mobile games that are based on short bursts of intense activity. The rendering resolution for this is 2560 by 1440. So far, it's getting 120 FPS, but scenes with slightly more action, like over here, you can see the frame rates are dropping to 90 FPS here. Still looks smooth though. For this test, the score, there's no score, it just says maxed out, so it performed really well, it seems, on this test. Next up is Wildlife Extreme. Now this is pretty much like the same test except it's being tested at 4K. So let's see how it performs, and you can already see it's not looking as smooth, but you know, it's running it at around 30 frames per second, which still is playable. It was able to achieve a score of 5,293 with an average frame rate of about 31 frames per second, and it also seems to have scored better than 96% of other devices. The last test is the Steel Nomad test. This is a cross-platform, non-ray traced benchmark for lightweight computers and high-end mobile devices. It renders at 1440p, so let's see how this does. Right off the bat, you can probably notice how choppy it's looking. It's by far the choppiest looking test here, which looks like it's running at about 15 frames per second, give or take. The test is coming to an end, and it looks like it got a score of 1,919 with an average frame rate of 14.22 FPS. Now let's test out the Wi-Fi speed test, as the S10 Ultra supports the latest Wi-Fi standard, which is Wi-Fi 7. Here we go, let's see how this performs. Now it's time to game. At first I was like, where did all the games go? But turns out Samsung has a built-in app called Gaming Hub where it stores all of your games, so that's where it is. I'm going to start this off by playing some light games first, and the first game on the list is Fall Guys. And we are off to the races. The game is looking smooth. It looks like it's running really well. No issues here. I'm just going to play some more. Next game on the list is Vector. This is also a light game, and it should run it just fine. No stutter or lag here, so let's move on to the next game, which is Ark Survival. This game seems to be running pretty well. It's definitely more demanding than the other two games, and the S10 Ultra seems to be handling it just fine. Next game is The Walking Dead Survivors. This should be a piece of cake, so let's see. Yeah, no hiccups, nothing here, but playing with the S Pen does feel more tactile and more interactive somehow. Next up is Need for Speed No Limits. This game, it looks good. Even on this big display, the graphics are still looking decent here, and from what I can tell, it's running it quite smoothly. Next on the list is Marvel Champions. This game also seems to be running smooth without any hiccups, and it also looks pretty good. Next up is FC Mobile. I couldn't get my controller to work, so I just had to play with the touchscreen. And yeah, this also runs well on this device, and with the big screen, it's quite an immersive gameplay here. Next is Call of Duty Mobile. Here, I was able to get the controller to run.
Get down, sniper! Tango down! Killer drone on set. Enemy He's taking the lead. Baby's online. UAV recon ready for deployment. Enemy in sight! Target down! Reloading, cover me!
Smooth gameplay here, no snapdrags, just another buttery smooth. Next up is NBA 2K Mobile, and this game also ran quite well on the S10 Ultra. Now jumping into PUBG, I couldn't figure out how to turn on the FPS counter here, but this is all the graphical settings that we are set to, and it's running it pretty well. Very smooth, actually.
Attack the mark. I need attachments. Head toward this point.
Next up is Call of Duty Warzone. This game is also running pretty well. It's not as smooth as PUBG, but it's running nonetheless, and playing on this big screen is definitely fun.
Friendly.
Alright, last game on the list is Fortnite. In this game, I'm able to have the FPS counter on, and it seems like the max FPS this can play up to is 30 FPS, so let's play. Besides the low frame rates, everything seems to be running fine. The game is still playable and enjoyable. The graphics look great, and it definitely can run Fortnite.